What's going on, Ambitious Vet? Welcome to episode number 64 of the Ambitious Vet Show with 25-year U.S. Army Airborne medic, veteran, author, and founder and host of Men of Abundance, Wally Carmichael. Welcome to the Ambitious Vet, where we believe if you desire more, you have to become more. My name is Chris Hoffman, Marine combat veteran turned passion-driven entrepreneur. On this show, I dive into the trenches with today's top military veteran thought leaders and influencers who know what it takes to not only pay the bills after the military, but really make an impact. You're going to hear a great story, some failures, and golden grenades to empower you to excel in what matters most in your life right now. Are you ready to expand with us? Are you a veteran that's been listening to us but has yet to plug into the journey of going warrior made to passion driven? I'm talking about expanding, connecting, and ultimately impacting in a community that's growing faster than any other veteran community on the planet right now, the Ambitious Vet Network on LinkedIn. We just launched that this week. We have a few front runners that are currently promoting it, and we want you inside of it as well. How we view this LinkedIn new group is that you are going to be having profitable and impactful conversations that are going to narrow the gap and you getting where you want to be in your next mission. So if you haven't already, go to LinkedIn right now, type in the Ambitious Vet Network and join the LinkedIn group right now. It's growing very quickly, and we're missing one person, and that is you. And if you haven't searched, we'll go ahead and post a link in the comments below. We'll see you soon. Well, welcome to another Ambitious Vet Show, Ambitious Vet. I love that you're coming in here on a week-by-week basis and investing in yourself. Time is the most vital asset that we have, our whole lives. And for you to invest 45 minutes to an hour towards this content goes to show that you are serious about expanding, connecting, and really impacting out of the uniform. So I don't take that for granted. If you're new, this is your first episode, welcome to the family, welcome to the tribe, welcome to the largest personal and professional development veteran community in the world, where we believe if you desire more, you gotta become more. We become more together here. So I hope you are finding value in this week by week. For those of you who are new, hope you find value from this episode. It is a doozy. Wally Carmichael is going to be our guest. He's a leader in living a life of abundance and prosperity. His no BS, fun, and exciting approach to life and business stem from his tough background and 25 years as a U.S. Army Airborne medic. He's the founder and host of the Men of Abundance podcast, the Pay It Forward community, which has been downloaded in 88 countries and growing. He's founder of the Abundance and Prosperity Business Mastery, where he does his part to save lives by saving businesses. Wally is the author of the No BS Business Breakthrough, How to Double Your Lead Conversion and Triple Your Revenue in Less Than 45 minutes. Wally's world travels, extensive connections, and unique ability to read people, build strong teams, and create strategic marketing and business strategies makes him a popular resource for business owners who are ready to finally live a life of abundance and prosperity they know they deserve. He is extremely grateful to be living the amazing life of his dreams with his wife of 27 years, Tracy, and two of his 3 boys. Ambitious Vet, I just got to say, this one is amazing. I know I'm in a season of life where I needed the abundance message, and I don't know where you're at in the season of life, even if you're having more than you've ever wanted. This grounds you into gratitude. One of the few things I want you guys to listen for in this one is his story of his biggest failure and how he realized that network and knowledge sometimes has a deadline, right? And what he did when he got out of the uniform, didn't have a job lined up, and thought his network and knowledge was going to get him that first job, and what he did in that. Also, the power of just letting go and doing what's best for people around you, not yourself, and what that actually creates in your life, career, and business. And then also how he gave up being ungratefully, ambitious, going after 6 and 7 figure incomes, to just focusing on the small things in life. I think you're going to get a lot out of that. I sure did. And also, last thing is micro jobs. Like, how do you take what you did in the uniform and actually start breaking it down almost into a job description. What are the soft and hard skills attached to the job that you did? He breaks it down very well. It's a very on the core, in the trenches, practical knowledge interview on how to enjoy the journey to having more. I hope you enjoy this one, Ambitious Vet. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the trenches with Wally Carmichael. Are you there, brother?
Absolutely, brother. That was a mouthful, man.
Man, I'm used to it, man. Brother, go ahead and fill the gaps on that introduction. Let us know about something that no one has heard about with Wally.
Well, something that I know few people have heard about, I believe at this point, is just my background. When I mentioned the rough background, I literally grew up in a single wide trailer behind another man's house. We couldn't even afford the damn trailer park.
Oh, wow.
Until my mom divorced my dad and married another guy, and then we moved up to the trailer park. But that's one of the reasons why I did join the military years ago, is just because I knew I couldn't stay. It was a very destructive lifestyle that I just couldn't stay in.
Yeah. No, I got that. I mean, I can relate to that. I'm sure there's a lot of ambitious vets that are going to be listening to this. You know, one thing that got me to join the Marine Corps is I never had a really good example of a father, and I was in a broken home before I joined the Marine Corps. So I can definitely relate to that. And I acknowledge you for, having the courage to take that leap, because it's not easy to join the military, no matter the branch. Right. So I acknowledge you for doing that, brother. So, brother, let's shift gears a little bit. How about you tell us about the transition to your story and just how you started finding traction out of the uniform?
Yeah, well, it was let's say, when I first, it was a humbling experience, to say the least, because here I am, I'm this, Master Sergeant, 25 years, been a first sergeant, the whole bit, got tons of experience, know a lot of people. And I get out of the military and I start applying for jobs. Now, I have to say, I was stuck on, I wanted to work DOD. I wanted to stay in that community somehow, some way. Man, I must have applied for, I don't know, hundreds. I lost count of how many jobs I applied for on USA Jobs. I got a couple interviews and just got shot down and shot down and shot down. The rejection was just overwhelming, man.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the hell's going on here? But, so I basically just took 4 months off, kind of on purpose, but kind of not. I just was enjoying the time, literally taking walks on the beach with my wife, because we lived in Hawaii at the time. That's where I retired at, and just enjoying it. And in the meantime, we started a small business, cleaning houses for real estate agents. In Hawaii, you can make pretty damn good money, just turn the radio on and clean an empty house and make really good money. So we were doing that for a little bit. And then I got a call from one of the jobs I applied for to work as a GS-12 3 days a week as an EEO specialist, equal employment specialist for the Navy. And, which was pretty cool, because I got to kayak to work and all this kind of stuff. So it was a dream. It was amazing. It was a dream job. I worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, had Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. Technically it was GS-9 pay, although it's a GS-12, but did that for about 5 months, and then got a call from the NCO that took my job when I retired. And he's like, Wally, we just turned a couple of civilian jobs over here. I mean, any one of them has your name, because I was the chief of the NCOIC of operations for a Triple Army Medical Center when I retired. And he said, come on over, man. We got a job for you. I was like, boom, I'm going back home.
Yeah.
Maybe it was good, but Army's just home,
Yeah. It's tough. It is, man. I mean, whenever I was trying to, got out of the Marine Corps and then was potentially getting recruited by the Army to go back, I was just like, man, I can't do that. I'm already bleeding, the blood stripe on the leg. I'm bleeding. I remember all the push-ups in boot camp, honor, courage, and commitment and stuff like that. So I definitely get buying into the values and stuff like that. So, it sounds like you did your time. You got out, you took some time to just kind of reevaluate. What was that like? Those 4 months of just kind of like shifting gears and reevaluating your life. What was that like?
Oh man, I'm telling you, it was sweet. I truly enjoyed it. It was a little nerve-wracking because, get a little bit personal. We were in a house and we had already decided to relocate before I got the job offer for the Navy. We had already sent my truck. We were going to go to San Antonio, Texas, My truck was the day that I got the job offer, my truck had arrived in Dallas. So I had to pay for my truck $2,000 to get it back to Hawaii. And they had already picked up my unaccompanied baggage that like 2 days prior, and it was still on island, but I had to let it go. Otherwise I'd forfeit that whole, that 5-year bit where you can relocate. It was a mess, man. So that's what ended up keeping me there on island. But that whole time of reflection is kind of where I got into this whole abundance mindset.
Yeah.
After that, because we were in the process of selling a house, and that house was $721,000 that we financed in Hawaii, a very nice house in a resort community.
Wow.
Sold it. We were in it 2 years, and we sold it for, made about $30,000 off of it, and then moved into a beach community out of a 2,300 square foot home into a 1,200 square foot home on the beach, paying $3,200 a month. And so I had to work. I had to get back into work, and it was getting kind of nerve wracking. I was like, well, shoot, when is this job going to start, type of thing? Because, the government doesn't move fast.
Yeah.
Jobs come up. Yes. So I had a lot of time to reflect there on the beach. And that's where the whole abundance journey started from.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most interesting part of that is it's not easy, and I'm sure any ambitious vet that's like listening to this live right now, or, even listening on the podcast, can definitely see this, like how challenging it is to be a first sergeant, get out to one of the top ranks inside the military, have a nice house and stuff like that, and then almost downsize. Yeah, you're getting next to the beach, but also downsizing your lifestyle, and then feeling like this push of like, yeah, my job isn't done here, and kind of like, how do I build up something else that could help sustain the lifestyle, but not that I'm living now, right?
Right. Yeah. Unfortunately, people ask me, one of the questions they ask me, I get a lot, is like, what do you do to be able to live the lifestyle you live? It's not what I do, it's what I did.
Yeah.
Because I set myself up for that and getting ready for the transition. We got rid of a bunch of debt, minus the mortgage and stuff like that, which we knew we could get out from under because it was Hawaii. We knew we'd be able to turn the house pretty quickly. It took longer. There was a bunch of crap that happened because of one of the buyers, but that's the only reason why it took so long. But yeah, it was, we set ourselves up in preparation for that, to be prepared for that. And a lot of guys don't.
Yeah. That's good. Well, good for you for being proactive, Wally. That's awesome. So tell us, what was your biggest failure when you got out of the uniform, what you learned from it?
I don't know that I had any major failures when I first got out, though. I think maybe if there was anything that I would call a failure, was just that, was not being able to, not having a job completely lined up. I just took it for granted that I would, be able to land my dream job because I had so many connections and so much knowledge. It was just a done deal. And quite frankly, that's not how it works. The thing is, where I really messed up at was I figured I could just apply on USA Jobs and get any of those jobs. But as I became a civilian later on, and I should have known better, because we even hired people that we knew. I just didn't network enough to that point. And had I networked more and found what jobs were out there, it would have been a much easier transition. So if there's one thing I can say, if you plan on getting back into DOD when you retire, or when you otherwise separate, is network. And don't take it for granted that it's a done deal, guys, because I'm telling you 100%. I know guys who were retired, guaranteed a job. I know many people, quite frankly. And then command changed, people changed, and it's like, who are you?
Yeah.
You ain't coming here. We already got somebody for that job.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that in itself can kind of push you back a little bit, right? So, I mean, that could be challenging. And then just developing a new, like, hey, opportunities just come to me is a big deal. So, I mean, shifting that mindset. So how did you start shifting that mindset toward just throwing yourself at a USA Jobs directory to potentially start creating more opportunity through networking? Could you give us an example?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what I did. I just started networking even more. And quite frankly, what I really did, I just sat back and just let it happen.
Okay.
Just like when I made E7 rather quickly, and then 10 years it took me to get to E8, to Master Sergeant. And about 6 years into that whole journey, I was like, you know what? Screw it. If it happens, it happens. Great. All I'm going to care about is the troops. Everything I do is going to be for the troops. 100%. And I always was told this by my mentors, as long as you're doing the right thing for the troops and not for yourself, you can't be wrong. You might be wrong now and again, but you're justified because you're not doing it for your personal gain. You're doing it for the troops. And I would tell a sergeant major off, I'd tell a colonel off, I'd be like, no, it ain't happening like that, because that's not fair to the troops. And the more I did that, then that's what I feel when I finally got promoted. So that's what I kind of did with the job thing as well. I just put my hands up and said, you know what? I'm just going to let this happen. I prayed on it. And I just started actually giving more in my community, giving more to other people in my spare time. And that's when the opportunities started coming.
Opportunities just opened up. Yeah, I love that. And ambitious vet, if you're listening to this or watching this right now, where in your life are you feeling stopped? Like opportunity isn't flowing, cash flow isn't flowing. Opportunities are just not naturally flowing. And if that area of life is stopped, life, career, business, how can you start giving more in some capacity? Is it looking like serving at your church? Is it looking at assisting at a personal development seminar place where high level people perform or operate in? I don't know what it is for you, but start investing into relationships and asking what's important to other people, and you'll find the right people will utilize the golden rule of law of reciprocation. So I love that, Wally. That's amazing, brother. So what do you think is the biggest challenge for any veteran that's looking to become more out of the uniform? What do you think stops them?
I think one of the biggest challenges is that and this is not really a popular, besides being in debt and not having a real plan, which I see a lot because I'm on Veterati and I'm on other mentorship and I get a chance to talk to a lot of veterans. But one of the things that I think is really kind of unpopular to say is that many have defined themselves as not a civilian. And some use this as as being a veteran, as kind of being a crutch.
Yeah.
And I say that with, all my heart out there, man, for these guys, because look at it this way. Most folks don't join the military till at least 18, sometimes 17. It happens occasionally.
Right.
But at least 18. I think I was 20 when I joined. So let's say around that time frame. I was a civilian for 20 years and I worked, a good, 3, 4, 5 years of that, right, in the civilian world. And a lot of guys do 5 or 6 years and get out. You were a civilian a lot longer than you were in the military.
Yeah.
Now, granted, don't get me wrong. You were in a group of brothers and sisters that were in the stuff. I mean, and you cannot explain that to other people. But you got to take your being a veteran as an asset and realize you are now a civilian. You're a veteran. You're a civilian with experiences that most of your counterparts don't have. Don't use that against them. Use that with them, just like you would with one of your new team members that would come into your organization. They've never been in that organization before. You've been there for a year. You're going to indoctrinate that individual the proper way. You're going to bring them in. You're going to onboard them, and you're going to show them the way of that organization. And then you have to do the same thing with the other folks that you're working with now. So don't use being a veteran as a crutch. Use it. It's an asset, man.
Yeah, that's good. I think that's a different point of view to look at it. I think a lot of veterans get out and the first thing they focus on is getting stability. How do they get that first job, increase the disability? And they're always focused on like, how do I leverage the resources and to continue to pay off my debt or even just pay my bills. And they're not thinking about, okay, how do I increase my human capital or utilize the assets? And a lot of us, I'm speaking from my own experience getting out back in 2012, man. It was like, I didn't know what my assets were. The only thing I was in the taps and tams were, go become a police officer, go become a nightclub security guard. My assets were you protect shit. That's pretty much what I was told.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I hear it all the time. I hear guys saying stuff like, well, let me write down everything that I know how to do. I can ruck march. I can walk a long distance with a heavy sack on my back. I can pull staff duty for hours on end, and this, that, and the other. But if you look at all the micro jobs that you have to do within all of that, it takes the endurance, physical and mental endurance to do that we do. It, staying up all night, doing the logs, the military writing that you learn, counseling, You learn so many things if you break it all down, what we learn and what we do so well in the military that many civilians just don't get at all.
Wow. No, I think that's huge, brother. I think anytime you can just sit down and, kind of like brain dump it on a piece of paper and just think, okay, I was a machine gunner in Iraq or in the Marine Corps, Army, whatever. And I break it down into like, okay, what were the soft and hard skills to develop that? I think you can actually start seeing more opportunity in life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, brother, I want to dive into your abundance because, like, this is I told you when before we went live and on this podcast, I was super excited about this because I know I'm at a season of life where, I'm about to launch a group program and a lot of stuff and the resources as you're building up for a launch start depleting, but you're banking on a big win. I'm sure there's a lot of ambitious vets that are, in this position or want to be in this position. So, here's the thing is when we're ambitious vets, we're obviously envisioning and chasing something that's bigger than us. How do we enjoy that journey, Wally, and not fall into these gaps of like scarcity and fear and stuff like that? How do we enjoy that journey of actually achieving what we want, what we desire most in life?
Yeah, I'll say it's simple, but not easy. And it sounds kind of cliche.
Yeah.
It's be grateful and enjoy the journey. Look, I was that typical man, just like everybody else, so many other guys, an ambitious man.
Yep.
And I wanted that 6 and 7 figure income, but I was ungratefully chasing a 6 and 7 figure income. Now, check this out, Chris. Here I was sitting on the beach in Hawaii. All right. Literally right in front of my house in the gazebo, Saturday morning with my cup of coffee and my son playing in the water. He was like 6 at the time. And he's like, Dad, come and play. And I had my headset on, probably listening to another podcast, maybe Pat Flynn or something like that, learning how to make another 6 figures. I'm already earning a 6-figure income. I got my retirement, got my disability, got a great job just at 11, living on the beach in Hawaii. My wife's asleep back in the house. And as his facial expression changed from, when I just waved him off, his facial expression changed from excitement to disappointment. I get emotional. It was like a rock hit me in the back of the head. And it was like, Wally, I heard my wife's voice, who was still asleep. Wally, what the hell are you chasing? And that's when I realized I have everything that I've been freaking chasing after
on the beach,
but I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah.
And here I am. And so I just put the headset down, went out in the water with him for a good, 45 minutes, hour, something like that. Went back in, made breakfast. And I started pondering that whole process, that whole thought process of how my life is and how abundant. And then the funny thing is when I started being more grateful for things that I already had and realizing what I already had, enjoying what I already had, so much more started coming into my life in the form of connections, stronger relationships with my boys and my wife, more resources, more money. It's one of those things that I just don't try to understand and just know in my personal life. And that's why I started the whole Men of Abundance podcast. We'll get more into that in a minute, but that's where that whole thing started from.
That's awesome. I mean, I think ambitious vet, if you're watching this or listening to this, anytime that you can attach a personal story based on what your next mission is, I think it's easy to move forward. And you can see Wally here has a unique story and a shifting point of his life of chasing things and chasing a 6-figure income, already having the life around him that he, always wanted, but not really seeing it, having that like almost emptiness feeling. I know a lot of ambitious vets, we're so ambitious sometimes that we don't want to see all the luxuries around us. And it's just amazing to hear from an ambitious vet like Wally, who's helping us pull ourselves out of the trenches and have us be like, wow, life is amazing now. And I think, Wally, I mean, would you agree that it even elevates like your attitude and, just your energy overall?
Yeah, everything. Absolutely. I start my day every day with an attitude of gratitude. I write down in any one of my numerous journals that I have over here. I have different journals that I write in for various reasons, but I have a gratitude journal. And it might be something as simple as I woke up in dry, clean sheets this morning. Most of us woke up in the jungle. I was in Panama, my first duty station, for 4 years, and I, lived in the jungle. and
Yeah.
wake up with ants in my freaking ammo pouch. It's just crazy. And so I'm just grateful for the little things, but I'm grateful for the big things too. And I want to point out one other thing when it comes to this whole money thing. I am not a multimillionaire. I'm not a millionaire. I had six figures, a low six figure. You don't need that to live a life of abundance. Don't get me wrong. I love earning money. I love, adding value to other people's lives and getting duly compensated for that. It's just the feeling of the whole process. I love it.
Yeah.
But that's all extra. Once you are grateful for the things that you have in your life and you realize that you live in a world of abundance, if you're listening to us right now, you live in a world of abundance, but you got to get that in your head, the abundance mindset, and get rid of the scarcity mindset. And it's not about money. It's about fulfillment. It's about enjoying what you're doing and enjoying the journey on the way to having more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. So now we're going to dive into the trenches a little bit more with that. Okay. So me as a veteran that was just getting out 3+ years out, I was just kind of like, yeah, fulfillment, great. But I was a guy with like 3 jobs. Had a sales career, finishing up a psychology degree. And, I was doing a network marketing company, I think back then, and I was making like, $6,000 a month. I'm sure there's an ambitious vet that's kind of in this position, but I was just like, yeah, I'm making a lot of money, but yeah, fulfillment, who needs fulfillment when you got money? How are you taking men or women like that, and having them shift their mindset of not working themselves to exhaustion, but like having them kind of shift their mindset for fulfillment? What does that look like?
Well, that's funny that you asked that question specifically, because the whole abundance, the podcast Men of Abundance, transitioned to people contacting me and asking me if I would train them or coach them in living the life that I was living, the life that I am living. And I had never considered doing such a thing. And then 2 guys contacted me, and then a spouse contacted me. She's like, look, we make great money. My husband's never home. I've been listening to your show. I love it. 50% of the listeners are women, by the way, and which blew my mind. And I said, look, I'm very humbled and honored, but I just don't know how to do this. But that was what made me want to do it. So I started hiring coaches to teach me, and I started reading more books about coaching people in this regard. And as it came down to it, one of my coaches, Carl Bryan, he's like, look, dude, I commend you for what you're doing, but if you continue down this path, you're going to find that you're going to help some people, but you're not really going to be fulfilled by the whole bit. And I kind of pondered on that a little bit. So what I do now is I work with business owners, and what they want is what they think they want, and what they think they need is more leads, better conversions, and more profits, right? Or really just more leads. That's what they all want. More leads. I want more Facebook fans. I want more Instagram fans. I want more likes, hearts, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what everybody else wants. A bunch of crap, quite frankly. But more recognition for the stuff that they're doing. And there's no monetary attachment to that. But what they really want, so what I do is I start working with them, and I give them that. I show them how to convert their leads, get more leads, or just convert the leads they already have into clients, customers, whatever. But what I do is I subtly work on their mindset, because, and I usually work with guys. I have a couple women that I'm working with, but most guys don't want to do mindset stuff. They want to get down and dirty in the strategy of it all.
Yeah. And
I work on business strategies, but I also work on life strategies. I ask them, show me your calendar. And if I showed you my calendar right now, you'd see I have right now is family time. Only reason why I'm having this conversation, I'm not on family time, is because I'm with you. And it's okay. Every once in a while I do this. And I do it for clients once in a while too. But I look at their calendar and I see what personal stuff they have on their calendar. And if they don't have personal stuff, the first thing we're going to do is put personal stuff, family time, meditation, prayer, whatever it is that you do that recharges you. Walk out in nature, take a walk around the block, whatever it is. Of course, your exercise is important too. We're going to look at that kind of stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm trickling in there, and I correct their language when they say, well, I've tried that, but that doesn't work for my industry. Well, maybe it wasn't done properly. And let's see how we can get that done. And I'm working on that mindset. And that is the way that I get into their head and start changing and transitioning and enhancing their mind from the scarcity mindset to the mindset of abundance.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. I love that you go towards the personal life versus like the seeking the validation, the income and stuff like that. Because I think when you're healthy inside, the outside just aligns with that, brother. And it's just I love that. I love that approach, man. So yeah, I mean, tell us more about Men of Abundance and like what you're doing to, accomplish this mission out there in the trenches, brother.
Yeah, so the whole purpose behind Men of Abundance, quite frankly, was just quite frankly for me to have other conversations with other men who are living a life of abundance and somehow paying it forward to their community.
Hmm.
And one question I ask every single guest is their kick in the gut moment, that moment that in many cases changed the trajectory of their life. They had an ulcer or a heart attack in the corporate world, and now they own a business and living in the Philippines with their family.
Oh,
I mean, Jay Papazan, the co-author of The One Thing, I had a conversation with him. He would have never given me the time of day, but I contacted him on LinkedIn or on Twitter. I was like, Jay, I dig what you're doing, man. I love your background. I'd like to have a conversation with you on the Men of Abundance podcast. He's like, Men of Abundance? Hell yeah. And I have an audience for these guys. And the whole purpose was just for me to have these conversations for my own personal knowledge and use, but to share that with the world to prove that you don't have to be a multimillionaire. Now, many of them are millionaires, but somebody like, goodness, whom I'm not going to think of his name right now. He did penny stocks. Anyway, multimillionaire. He could easily be a billionaire, but he keeps giving his money away. I'll think of it as soon as we're done here. But Timothy Sykes, and he gets beat up all the time because of all the money he gives away, and then people post about it and like, well, you're boasting about all the money you're giving away. He gave $1 million check to Pencils of Promise, and people start beating him up for it. But I just wanted to prove to people that you can, in fact, live a life of abundance in family, faith, finances, and fitness by, like you say, I always say, improving your foxhole, enjoying the journey along the, on your way to having more. And you have to constantly be improving your foxhole for your mind and for your body.
That's awesome, brother. That's great. And you're doing this primarily through podcasting. I think you got an e-learning course and then one-on-one coaching, correct?
Yeah, so that's how that evolved into, the whole coaching of the abundance mindset evolved into abundance and prosperity mastery, where I'm using my skills as a business and marketing strategist, coupled with what I also learned from my mentors, Adrian Ulsh, Carl Bryan. I've been following Tony Robbins for many years, his business side and NLP and all that kind of stuff. And I've been practicing that for many years in my own businesses. And so that's where that all came from. And the e-learning platform is a $2 million business training platform that is either done DIY or I have a group sessions that I do are one-on-one, and I use a lot of the content out of that that's constantly being updated because Carl Bryan, and all the guys, all of us, we have access or input into that. And I think there's like 700 different business strategists in 24 countries that are attached to this whole, use this particular system. But then the mindset stuff is all me. It's all just stuff that I've constantly learning more about every single day through the conversations that I have on Men of Abundance, and then more research on top of research. I just geek out on this stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're in your element, brother. And it sounds like you've done the work. You've done the work, brother. And that's absolutely amazing. So, brother, we have a tradition here. I mean, it's quite simple. What are 3 golden grenades that you could drop down right now immediately that could impact an ambitious vet that's looking to, increase in career, life, or business right now?
Yeah, absolutely. On top of all the amazing golden grenades that have been dropped by all of your past guests, those that I've listened to 100%, go back and take advice from that. But on top of that, what I say is be abundant in your thoughts and actions. Be abundant in your thoughts and actions, and always be paying it forward in one way or another. And I'm jumping around here. Enjoy the journey along the way to obtaining more. And by more, I mean more connections, stronger relationships, more resources, and yes, more money. But enjoy the journey, because if you don't enjoy the journey, you are not going to like the destination. I'm telling you, it's just, I've proven it to myself because I just didn't enjoy the journey along the way. And then lastly, I already said, pay it forward. Give your time, talents, and treasures to others. Either start in your family. It's got to start with your own kids, your own spouse, your own family members. Get that out into your community and give within your community. If you want more and stronger relationships, then be more in your relationship. Give more to your relationship. If you want more connections, then connect more people. It always comes back. And believe it or not, if you want more money, then give money. It's one of those things again. But here's the thing, here's the trick. You have to give without any expectation of reciprocity.
Mm.
You don't want, you do want more in your life, but don't give to receive. Give to give from your heart. It makes you feel just as good as it does the person you're giving to. In fact, there's many studies on this when they study the happy meter or whatever, however they do that junk. The fact of the matter is when you give, people are the happiest. So those are the three. Be abundant in your thoughts and actions, enjoy the journey along the way, and pay it forward.
That's awesome, brother. I think if any ambitious vet that's listening to this or watching this applies as one of those, I think their life is going to get better tomorrow. So thank you for that. So ambitious vet, I'm excited. Wally has a special giveaway uniquely for us here at the Ambitious Vet Tribe and Network. Wally, do you want to go ahead and dive in and talk about like kind of what you are offering the ambitious vet community today?
Yeah, absolutely. And this will benefit some of your business owners more than others, but I'm not leaving those that are not business owners out. Or if you're a potential entrepreneur, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to start your own business. I've got my book here, the physical copy, and you can get the physical copy. But if you go to menofabundance.com/AV, then I've got a page set up there specifically for you where you can either purchase the book or download a copy of the book. And if you choose to do so, I've got 15 minutes for anybody who gets on my schedule out of this tribe for specifically for business. We can solve one problem in your business and I can get that solved back to you within 72 hours, or we can just have a conversation about your transition, any hardships that you're going through right now. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not like Chris over here. I'm not claiming to be. I'm a master resiliency trainer, and all this other kind of stuff that I was trained through the Army, EEO specialist, all this kind of stuff. But I've just got a big heart for veterans, and I absolutely want to see you guys succeed in whatever it is that you do. If there's anything I can do, reach out to me. Let's have that 15 to 30-minute call. Otherwise, connect with me on social media. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, he really is ambitious vet. I mean, anybody that I've, talked to in the trenches as far as connecting, like Wally's talking about, everyone's just like, you've got to know Wally Carmichael. And I reached out to him. He was actually traveling cross country with his family. And I was just like, man, I've got to talk to you. I want to learn from your mind. I love where his heart was and just how he leverages relationships. So ambitious vet, if you're out there, if you're having troubles communicating or building a quality network or, building tribes or something like this, Wally Carmichael is one of the most, effective leaders in being able to just elevate your mindset, create quality conversations and relationships that ultimately come back and increase your quality and your fulfilling life. So again, ambitious vet, that's menofabundance.com/AV. I would say the first one, first serve. With that, I know his calendar is extremely busy, so I encourage you guys to get there as soon as possible. Wally, man, I just want to acknowledge you for who you are as a veteran out there, out of the uniform, man. I mean, you could have easily just, put up your combat boots and said, hey, 25 years is enough in my life. I'm going to live in Hawaii and just kind of enjoy retirement. And brother, you actually are going back. You're being ambitious. You're figuring out what's next and how do I fill the gaps on impacting more people. For that, brother, I just acknowledge you for who you are for our community.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, brother. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. Where they have it, Ambitious Vet, episode number 64 of the Ambitious Vet Show with Wally Carmichael. I hope that you elevated your mindset in that conversation. I know I had a few golden grenades that really stood out to me. I hope that you find one that you can implement immediately and start increasing more abundance, more resources and relationships your way. Now, Ambitious Vet, if you haven't already, go and visit vettrainingcoaching.com. You're going to be able to find all our resources and all of our tools and even some of the offerings. We do have our Ambitious Vet Sprint coming up October 23rd, which is really an intense fire team gamified experience for any of you that are listening to this right now that want to create a more proactive approach, not a reactive approach, towards executing consistent results in every area of your life. I'll let you go and judge it on your own. Go to vettrainingcoaching.com, and that's where you're going to learn more information around everything that we're doing on top of this podcast. Now, if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, review the podcast. Feedback is what allows anything to improve in life. We want to improve in the trenches right beside you. So make time to go and either send us an email at choffman@vettrainingcoaching.com or write us a review. Let us know how we're doing so we know that we're providing the value that's pushing the needle forward in your life. Lastly, I already know that you're warrior made if you're listening to this. But to become passion driven, utilize this one golden grenade you heard today, and you'll find your life being more meaningful. Let's go get it.